Hi, everybody, and welcome to Observing with Webb for February of 2016. February turns out to be an interesting month for those who want to look at planets, and a pretty good month for the amateur astronomer, the person just getting out and kind of wants to tell the difference between what are the constellations out there and what are the planets, or the person who goes out and says, wow, that's really bright. What is that? So let me just talk first about the planetary collection. Notice I'm not saying an alignment because, well, they're always aligned on the ecliptic anyway. It's just that they're all now in the morning sky for us, but that's a whole nother discussion. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about what it will look like. Let's say on a very good morning like February 8th, what will we see? Well, now if we take a look here, we can see that now we're looking at the whole sky, so it's a little distorted, but over in the southeast, you'll see Mercury. Now notice, this is also in the morning. This is 6:49 in the morning. Maybe if I go a little bit earlier, 6:30. And then you've also got Venus up into the right of Mercury over there. In fact, if I do some angular separation thing here, I can see that Venus is only about 4 degrees away from Mercury. So that's about, if you hold 3 fingers at arm's length, it's about that width apart. Also, what you'll see is Saturn is up there as well. So if you go from Venus to Saturn, that's about 35 degrees. So that's about 3/5 width. So 1, 2, 3, and then a little bit more. So that's how far away Saturn is from Venus. Mars is going to be to the right of that by about 26 degrees. That's 3/5 widths. 1, 2, 3. Far apart, and then Jupiter's way over here on the right, about 56 degrees away. Okay, excuse me. So that's, if you go out in the morning, especially at the beginning of the month, this is what you're going to see. Another way of looking at it, let me zoom in a little bit and show you what it would look like from a different perspective. So you'd be looking toward the west for Jupiter in the morning. Let me go back to about 6:30. And then you'd have to turn to the left, turn toward the south to see Mars. And then to the left and down from Mars is Saturn. And notice Antares is down here. So you don't mix those two up. Antares, I think, will be, I don't know about how much brighter. Let's see. Let's see, that's magnitude 1, this is magnitude 0.5, so Saturn should be a little brighter. Plus Antares is a little more red, and I find it twinkles a little bit more than Saturn does, but Saturn should be a caramel color. You should be able to find it. And then if you move over down and to the left, that's where you'll see Venus and Mercury, and if I zoom in there, it'll look something like this. So that's the big thing that's happening in the mornings for pretty much all of February. Now let's just talk about each planet as they rise. So let me rewind time. If you want to see each planet individually, what are you going to look for? Well, if you're trying to find Jupiter, what you look for is you look toward the east after about 8 p.m. and it's going to be very bright. It's below Leo, as you can see. And so what's going to happen is throughout the night, Jupiter is going to rise up. It'll always be right below Leo, but it will rise up and it will move to the south, and it'll be directly in the south about 2 a.m. and right around sunrise, like I said, it'll be off in the southwest. Okay, so that's Jupiter. Let's rewind the clock back. Now let's say you go out and let's say you go out toward the morning. If you go out around 1:30 a.m. after 1 a.m., you should be able to see Mars rising up in the constellation of Libra. Mars is going to be red-ish. It's just a little bit more red than everything else, and that's how you're going to know it's Mars. Oh, but wait, there's another way to tell that it's Mars, and that is if you're looking on, and this only works for one day, if you're looking on February 1st, you'll see the Moon and Mars will be pretty close together. And Mars will only be about, I believe, 2 degrees away. 2 degrees away. And so these two will actually go up together. So anyway, that's February the 1st. Mars, again, is rising after 2 a.m. And yeah, so that's going to rise up, and it'll be, if we zoom out, it'll be in the south by the morning. And then, oh, wait, if you wait until after 4 a.m., you get another planet over here, Saturn. And we look to the southeast after 4 a.m., and you'll find Saturn. It's, like I said before, it's going to be next to or above Antares. And, oh, hey, if you want to make sure you know what you're looking at, look at the moon on the 3rd or the 4th, more the 3rd. And on the morning of February 3rd is when you'll see Saturn just below the moon by about 5 degrees. It's about this at arm's length, okay? Then, if you wait later in the morning, or if you wake up around after 6 a.m. is when you'll be able to find Venus. Venus is, I think, unmistakable. It's going to be the brightest object in that area of the sky. It's the last thing that will disappear in the dawn. And if you're good, you can actually see Venus and Mercury together with the moon on February 6th. Now, it's going to be tough because dawn really breaks in. Plus, the moon is very, very, very thin. And I think Venus is going to be easier to find than the moon. But if you can find Venus, the moon, and Mercury on the morning of the 6th, good job. Get a picture. I'd like to see some interesting views of that. And then what happens is, well, the moon starts going to become a... that doesn't make sense. The moon starts becoming an evening object, okay, because on February 8th we have the new moon. Now it's going to be more of a sunset object, so I'm going to move to the west and move to sunset. And I'm going to sort of make time go by a little bit more quickly. And now we're facing west on February 8th. And that over the next couple nights, the moon, as you can see over here, is very, very thin, okay, and very low on the horizon. And then over the next couple days, it gets thicker and thicker and higher in the sky. It's going through its phases. And you consult my charts. The first quarter moon is on the 15th. Okay. That's when you can see it from, excuse me, until about midnight, from sunset or before sunset, all the way into midnight. It's going to be there in Taurus. And, yeah, then really nothing happens astronomically for the next, week until the February 22nd. You've got a, February 22nd, you've got a full moon. And that's when the moon rises at sunset and sets at sunrise. And then comes the close encounter of the moon and Jupiter for the month. So go out on February 23rd and you'll see the moon and Jupiter only 2 degrees apart, which is pretty good. Again, that's like 2 pinkies held at arm's width or arm's length apart, and that's how far apart Jupiter and the full moon will be. Probably not a good picture opportunity since the moon is so bright, but take a look. And then really nothing much else happens for the rest of the month except, as you notice, the moon will get thinner and thinner. It's not really thin, but less thick and dimmer, and it gets closer and closer to Mars. And on February 29th, the moon is pretty close to Mars for the second time of the month. And yeah, that's what's going on for February. The only other thing that I would want to talk about is the constellations for a little bit. So let me go to an average day, let's say February 14th. By the way, it's a leap year, so we have a February 29th. And let's just go to, I don't know, let's go to like 8 p.m. Let's go 8 p.m., okay? Now, if you're looking at the sky at about 8 p.m., Orion is going to be a nice vertical bow tie in the sky. He is really more the hunter. He's got his, here we got his left shoulder, or his right shoulder, depending how you look at it, his shoulder, Betelgeuse, his other shoulder, or sorry, his knee, Rigel. This is a nice red star in the sky. This is a nice blue star. They typically look basically white, but you can tell the hint of a difference there if you compare the two. That's when it really pops out. But the important thing here is to look at Orion's belt, okay? And you can tell it's Orion's belt because there's 3 belt stars pretty much right in a row, and then this rectangle that surrounds it. Okay, some people mistake other 3 stars in a row for the belt. Well, it happens, but look for that one. And what you can do is use Orion's belt to find the winter constellations. So you start here at his belt and follow it to the right about 20 degrees. That's 2 fist widths at arm's length. And follow it to Aldebaran, which is the brightest star in Taurus, this little V constellation here. Then if you keep following that line about 10 degrees more, that's 1 fist width, you'll find the Pleiades, which is this beautiful cluster over here. Now what you can also do is follow that belt backwards and the opposite way, and you'll find the brightest star in the sky, which is Sirius, which is the brightest star in Canis Major. Now you can also look at many other constellations like Gemini, Auriga, and Canis Minor here, because the brightest stars, or the brighter stars in those constellations, make this big circle in the sky. So we can start here at Taurus at Aldebaran, and you move down to the left to Rigel and Orion. To the left, and you find Sirius in Canis Major. And you go up and you find Procyon in Canis Minor. And then Castor and Pollux in Gemini. And then, there you go. Auriga's brightest star. I'm losing it. Capella. I knew that. And then back around to Taurus. So you get this nice big circle of very bright stars in the winter sky. And that, also, if you take a look, all the way to the left is Leo the Lion. You can find that out there as well. And you can even look to the north and find some northern constellations there. But I'll leave that to another day. I hope you guys have very clear, dark skies for the month of February and get out in that 24 inches of snow.